It is said in some old ancient texts that giants used to inhabit the earth with men. And while there is no evidence of giants ever living in ancient times, and no one has unearthed a real giant skeleton before, it doesn't mean that giants don't exist. There have been people in modern times that were so large and so tall that it could very well be true that we used to live among giants. We found 10 real-life giants you won't believe actually exist. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, and you'll be the first to know when a new video comes out. Denis Kuplenkov. Ukrainian-born Denis Kuplenkov is incredibly huge and has been called a real-life Hulk because of his massive arms and hands that could only belong to a giant. Looking at the photos of his hands, you would swear that someone was messing around with Photoshop, and they are cartoonishly giant. He stands at 6'1" and has 24.8-inch arms, weighs 308 pounds, and can lay claim to having the most densely muscled hands in the world. He began training with kettlebells in sports clubs around his hometown of Kryvyi Rog, Ukraine, and realized he had amazing strength when he was very young, and started to compete in arm wrestling. He is currently a bodybuilding, arm wrestling, and strongman champion. By the way, if you're curious just how strong his hands are, he can crush walnuts with his fingers. Imagine arm wrestling the guy. Hafthor Julius Bjornsson. Game of Thrones fans might recognize this mammoth Icelandic giant Thor Bjornsson, aka Ser Gregor Clegane, nicknamed the Mountain in the show's latest seasons. At a whopping 6 feet 9 inches and over 400 pounds, Bjornsson is not a man to be messed with. Apart from being an actor, Bjornsson is also a well-known professional strongman and former basketball player. He has consistently finished on the podium for the World's Strongest Man competition. He is so strong that he is able to deadlift 990 pounds. That's about 6 average-sized people. In January 2015, at the World's Strongest Viking competition held in Norway, Hafthor carried a 33-foot-long, 1,430-pound log for 5 steps, and in doing so broke a 1,000-year-old record set by Orm Sturolofsson. Bjornsson trains by pulling trucks and can chuck a 15-kilogram keg over 23 feet in the air, and he can throw 8 kegs in just 16.35 seconds. Brahim Takioula. From Morocco, Brahim is the second tallest person in the world at 8 foot 1 inches, but even though he might not hold the record as the tallest man, he has the largest feet in the world. His left foot is 1 foot 3 inches, while his right foot is 1 foot 2.7 inches long. He grew up in a Moroccan village and grew a lot during his teenage years, and in fact grew 3 feet taller in just 1 year. The interesting thing is that no one thought differently about his size until he hit the age of 18. He always gets a lot of attention wherever he goes. And by the way, if you were curious about his shoe size, he takes a European size 58. No shop carries such a shoe size, so he has to have everything handmade to order. He hopes to one day have a special car built for him, but even getting a pair of shoes is really expensive. And he was quoted by a cobbler $5,270 for a pair of shoes. Yao Ming. This Chinese basketball player is even taller than Shaquille O'Neal. Standing at 7 feet 6 inches made him one of the tallest basketball players of all time. Ming was already making a big name for himself in the Chinese Basketball Association before switching to the NBA. In 2002, he was the #1 draft pick for the Houston Rockets and became the highest draft pick to come directly from an international league. Before the season, several commentators predicted that Yao would fail in the NBA, and Charles Barkley said he would kiss Kenny Smith's ass if Yao scored more than 19 points in one of his rookie season games. On November 17, he scored 20 points on a perfect 9 of 9 from the field and 2 of 2 from the free-throw line against the Los Angeles Lakers. Charles Barkley made good on his bet by kissing the buttock of a donkey purchased by Kenny Smith for the occasion. In April 2016, Yao was elected into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame alongside Shaquille O'Neal and Allen Iverson. Mali Duangdi. Standing at 6 feet 10 inches tall, Mali was the tallest woman in Thailand and the second tallest woman in all of Asia. She was once recognized by the Guinness World Records as the world's tallest woman in the world. She started her education at 13 years old, partly because her father's small motorbike was unable to accommodate her, and because her younger brother was too embarrassed to be seen in school with her. She went to school with students 6 years younger than her. It's hard to understand just how tall 6 feet 10 inches is until you see her standing with her sister next to a truck. Her feet were big as well and measured 12 inches long. She was in a TCL documentary called World's Tallest Children and measured to see if she was the tallest girl on Earth by a man who worked for Guinness World Records. He had to measure her 3 times in a single day because she was growing so fast. Shaquille O'Neal. New Jersey-born O'Neal happens to be one of the most famous basketball players of all time, and he is widely considered one of the greatest players in NBA history. He stands a giant 7 feet 1 inch tall and had a listed weight of 330 pounds. Along with being one of the tallest players in the history of the sport, he was also one of the heaviest players ever to play in the NBA. O'Neal's natural athleticism and impressive skills on the court led him to have one of the greatest careers that any basketball player could ever hope to achieve. He played for 6 teams over a 19-year NBA basketball career. Being a real-life giant probably had a lot to do with him being great at basketball, and he is one of only 3 players to win NBA MVP, All-Star Game MVP, and Finals MVP awards in the same year, in which he accomplished this in 2000. Elisane Silva is an 18-year-old Brazilian model, and she stands 6 feet 8 inches tall. Elisane developed a rare form of gigantism in her early teen years. Doctors found a tumor growing on the pituitary gland that causes growth hormone to be released. However, the tumor was removed and now she has stopped growing. Her massive height used to be a problem and she was teased a lot as a child. But now she tries to help people understand that looking different doesn't make you different on the inside. She had even appeared in numerous shows, videos, and interviews, and became somewhat a celebrity, and is an advocate for young girls worldwide. In February 2017, she married her boyfriend despite her fiancé only being 5 feet 4 inches. Zhang Jinliang. Born on June 26, 1964, Zhang Jinliang is known as the tallest woman to have ever lived, and she remains the tallest modernly verified female person recorded in medical history. There are only 17 people who have reached 8 feet tall, and Jinliang is the only woman to have ever surpassed the benchmark. The interesting thing about her great height is that she could have been even taller had it not been for her severely deformed spine. Despite this, she was the tallest person in the world at that time. Her photographs show just how immense she was, and especially where she is sitting on the hood of her father's car and standing next to her family where she dwarfs them in size. At the time of her passing, she was 8 feet 1 inch tall. She was the second woman in recorded history to become the tallest person in the world. Jane Bunford was the first. Andre the Giant. It wouldn't be right to have a list of giants and not include Andre the Giant. Andrei René Roussimoff was born on May 19, 1946. He was a professional French wrestler and was originally known as Jean Ferret, who was supposed to be a mystical lumberjack who lived in the woods of France. With that said, he might as well have been because he was able to captivate audiences in the hyped-up world of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, as it was called, with just his size alone. Known as the 8th wonder of the world, he had a build height of 7 feet 4 inches tall and weighed a staggering 520 pounds. In 1976, Andre fought professional boxer Chuck Wepner in an unscripted boxer versus wrestler fight, and won by throwing him out of the ring, over the top rope, and by a countout. Andre was also an actor and played in several TV series and movies, but is probably most well known as playing the character Fezzik in the 1987 film The Princess Bride. But Andre suffered a lot of pain due to his condition, and because of this was also known as the greatest drinker in the world, and downed 106 beers in one night. Just looking at his hand holding the can, you can probably understand that it wasn't a problem for him. Leonid Stodnik. A lot of giants have found fame and even their way into the record books. And why not? Being famous is something that most people would welcome. But it's not always true, and so was the case of Leonid Stodnik. Leonid was incredibly tall and stood 8 feet 4 inches tall. However, he refused to be officially measured by Guinness World Records, and it was because he didn't want the attention. Despite this, it was very likely that he was the tallest in the world. Leonid felt different about his height and even felt ashamed and burdened by his height, and stated, "To me, my height is a curse, a punishment from God, not something to celebrate." What sin I have committed, I do not know. All my life I have dreamed of being just like everyone else. Leonid disliked being such a tall man that he was unable to achieve normal goals. He only desired to have a normal life and dreamt of being a veterinarian and even getting married. But Leonid never got married because he didn't want to inflict the problems of his size on a wife. It would seem that he was a shy guy with a big heart. We hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know which one of these was your favorite. And don't forget that if you want to be the first to know when we release a new video, make sure to click subscribe and enable notifications. We appreciate you and want to thank you for watching.